Hurricane Delta is rapidly strengthening still and is now a Category 2 storm. Good morning. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Mike Nasa with the latest on the tropics. You can see there is our powerful Hurricane Delta, a Greek alphabet storm south of the Cayman Islands, moving west-northwest in the direction of the Yucatan Peninsula and the Gulf Coast, now forecast to reach Category 4 strength before striking or coming very close to the Yucatan and then eventually the North Gulf Coast. Let's get the latest now on Delta as of 5 a.m. Eastern Time from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida. The eye of Hurricane Delta was at 17.5 north, 81.3 west. Winds are now 100 miles per hour, and the environment looks very good for continued intensification. It's moving much quicker now, west-northwest at 15. Remember, last night it was moving more at 8 miles an hour. And you can see the forecast here has it striking the Yucatan as a Category 4 hurricane sometime late morning, early afternoon Wednesday in the general vicinity of Cancun. But again, if you're in Tulum, Cozumel, anywhere there on the northeast tip of the Yucatan, you guys need to be rushing to complete your preparations in advance of the hurricane. After Wednesday, it moves into the Gulf of Mexico, where it should re-intensify into a Category 4 after weakening a bit, and then weaken as it approaches the North Gulf Coast, but still be a very powerful hurricane by Friday night, Saturday morning, making landfall most likely in Louisiana, but again, anywhere from the upper Texas coast all the way to the Florida Panhandle. As you guys have seen a lot this hurricane season, you need to be on the alert. I did want to note we do have a hurricane warning from Tulum to Dzilam, Mexico, including the island of Cozumel, and that includes areas like Cancun and the northeast coast of the tip of the Yucatan there, because the eye of the hurricane is expected to, if not directly make landfall, pass very close to that location. We also have a tropical storm warning for the Cayman Islands and the Isle of Youth in western Cuba. Western Cuba is looking better for you. You're not in the cone of uncertainty, but if it takes the right edge of this track, it could come pretty close. The pressure's down to 968 millibars. The aircraft have been flying out there reporting continued steady to rapid intensification over the last 24 hours. Nothing's stopping it. Here is a beautiful infrared satellite imagery. You can see right in here, notice the center of the hurricane, the eye starting to spin there. It's not very discernible yet, but it definitely has a developing signature. Very strong convection here, almost sucking energy away from the center of circulation. But what's troubling about that is if this rainfall gets over Central America, we could have the threat of mudslides and flash flooding. You can see Jamaica, you're looking better now as the hurricane starts to move west-northwest. Nevertheless, strengthening up until the Yucatan, and it should become a Category 4 hurricane. Very, very dangerous situation. Here's a radar out of Grand Cayman Island. The Cayman Islands do have a radar site, and you can see the very tiny core. It's hard to make out on there, but you can definitely see the yellows and the eye wall right there. That is a sign of a quick strengthening hurricane, a very tiny, tight inner core, and when they're small like that, especially in a good environment, they can spin up or down very quickly. You can see some heavy rain bands here headed for Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman. The Cayman Islands going to get whacked today with some gusty winds, although the worst of the hurricane should remain to your south as it moves on towards the west-northwest, and faster as well. The track model guidance has shifted to the west. There is high pressure steering it here to the north, which is allowing it to have that more southward motion than we thought, and that's what should keep it away from Cuba, but more towards the Yucatan. They seem to be in pretty good agreement. However, the Hurricane Center is on the right side of the guidance because a lot of the modeling this year has been kind of biased towards the west. So if you see too much of a model guidance bias, you want to go against it. And right now, a lot of these models taking it further out and then back towards western Louisiana, we think those might be too far to the west. But again, if you're in that area, as you know, you got ravaged by Hurricane Laura back in August, you guys want to be overlooking your hurricane plans. The H-Wharf model, which has done very well this year, remember Hurricane Hannah back in July? It nailed Hannah perfectly. We also saw it do very well with Hurricane Laura. The H-Wharf model takes our Hurricane Delta off towards the west-northwest. Look at that. Becomes a Category 4 hurricane and makes landfall right on the tip of the Yucatan. Cancun just gets smashed. And then it moves into the Gulf as a weaker storm, re-intensifies again to a Category 4, a very large one, and then slams right into the Louisiana coastline as a Category 2 or 3 hurricane sometime Friday night into Saturday, and that would just be a tremendous push of energy, storm surge, rainfall, winds, just a very nasty hurricane. The HMON hurricane model, you can see what it does. It brings Delta over the Yucatan as a weaker hurricane, not quite a Category 4, moves back out into the Gulf, strengthens to a Category 4, and then makes landfall in the general vicinity of Terrebonne Parish with devastating impacts there. So, again, giving a word to the wise, if you live in these areas of Morgan City, Grand Isle, Cocodrie, that whole region there near Terrebonne Parish and the southeastern Louisiana tip, even Plaquemines Parish, you guys need to really be on the alert because anything's possible with Hurricane Delta. As I mentioned, the upper level environment, very favorable. Look at it's right in the low shear, pretty much the lowest shear in the western Atlantic right now, except for down here off Africa. You can see we do have what's left of Gamma moving over the Yucatan. Is pretty much dissipated out, and if anything, that might be drawing Delta further west than we thought, which is why the impact to the Yucatan could be so much more significant than originally forecast. Nevertheless, a very powerful looking hurricane there, starting to look better organized as the visible comes up and we get the sun. You'll start to see the eye on visible, and I have a feeling we will see this go into the major hurricane threshold of Category 3 and 4 over the next 24 hours. So the key messages this morning for Hurricane Delta, number 1, extremely dangerous storm surge and hurricane conditions in the northern Yucatan Peninsula beginning tonight, and that's areas of Tulum, Cozumel, Cancun. Get out of Dodge if you guys are told to evacuate. They're usually really good with evacuations on the Yucatan Peninsula. I remember Hurricane Emily back in 2005. It was a Category 4, slammed in near Cozumel, and we did not have a massive loss of life. Same thing with Hurricane Wilma later that year. Number 2, heavy rainfall for the Cayman Islands, western Cuba, northern Yucatan, all the way through the middle of this week, and that could cause flash flooding and mudslides. And again, the potential is increasing now for the central Gulf Coast, the Tennessee Valley, and the southeast U.S. as Delta moves inland. By Sunday, it's going to be here over the Tennessee Valley. And number 3, Delta is forecast to approach the northern Gulf Coast late this week as a hurricane, a powerful major hurricane. And while there is large uncertainty in the track and intensity, there is a significant risk of dangerous storm surge, wind, and rainfall hazards along the coast from Louisiana all the way over to the Florida Panhandle. Residents in these areas should be rushing to complete their tasks for whatever Delta will bring. So that'll do it for this early morning update. It's 5:15 as I finish recording this. We'll be back with frequent coverage of Hurricane Delta, a very powerful and dangerous storm headed for the Yucatan Peninsula and the North Gulf Coast of the United States.